Good couple of days, I think, since I spoke to you guys. We had a good scrimmage yesterday, very competitive. It was what you want to see when you scrimmage. Felt like offensively early in the scrimmage we were really good. Executed some things well and looked good. And then the second half of the scrimmage, I thought the defense really showed up and played well. And so that's what you want to see. You kind of want to see both units rise up at different times. I was really encouraged to see that yesterday in the scrimmage, and feel like that we're after today's practice we're in a good place. We talked to our players a little bit about potentially taking the shoulder pads off today, and we decided not to do it. Just needed another physical, hard-nosed, tough practice, and thought we had one today. It was hot. Practice 11. The guys responded. Nobody blinked. It was a really good day. So really pleased with what I've seen so far. We had a chance to work a ton of situations. Worked a bunch of 2-minute and 4-minute stuff today. Red zone, a lot of third down as well. And so, there's some things we got to get cleaned up, particularly some stuff on third down offensively. But again, like what I'm seeing, like the way the guys are responding. We've had a lot of different receivers step up. And I'm encouraged to see some of the new faces and young guys really start to get comfortable with what we're doing on offense, and I'm really encouraged by that. Again, starting to see some young D linemen emerge a little bit as well, which is what you want to see, and I think we have tremendous competition right now going on in the offensive line. Really like on the back end defensively, I think the corner spot, a lot of guys competing for it. For that second corner spot, I think that there's 4 or 5 guys that we're really optimistic about, and those guys are starting to emerge every day, starting to play with more confidence, make more plays on the ball. So encouraged to see all that. So, we just got to keep pushing forward, and tomorrow we'll have our 12th, and we'll take a day off and have walkthroughs and extended film time, and then kind of get back at it again. On whatever day that is. I guess that would be Wednesday.
Coach, you're 3 weeks out essentially. There's a reach a point where I'm not going to say back off, but you do sort of.
Yeah. I think there's a time. At some point, like everything, you kind of have diminishing returns in some ways, and you can if you don't watch, you can cut your nose off to spite your face, and you just have to balance that. Again, those are the tough things that we talk about all the time, and try to get a feel for our players. We use a lot of metrics, a lot of technology to measure workload, and we'll take a look at what we did today and adjust practice and make sure, again, we're walking that fine line between, enough tough-minded physical practices, but at the same time, making sure we're taking care of our players and that we're not injuring guys, and again, because the objective is to get to September 2nd with the best players we can get there with, coached up the very best that we can coach them up, and playing as fresh as they can possibly play. So that's the goal, and now you have to make sure that you check your work leading up to that goal, and that's stuff that we do every day. So we'll look at the numbers today and evaluate what we need to do tomorrow and things that we need to improve on, try to emphasize those tomorrow, and then enjoy that day off.
Some guys that stood out to you yesterday at the scrimmage.
Starting to see, Channing Canada, I think, is a guy that's starting to do some things. Mason White at that other corner spot. Paul's starting to do some good things up front defensively, I think, for us. DeBrayu continues to flash. He's just got to be a little bit more consistent. The linebackers, I think when you say who's probably been as consistent as anybody during the camp, that group has been very consistent. Offensively, I thought Corey Wren had a good scrimmage, certainly the best he's looked since he's been here. I thought he ran the ball well, he looked explosive, he looked fast. I was encouraged to see that. I thought both quarterbacks handled things pretty well. It's good to see some of those receivers. We got 3 or 4 pretty good Z's right now, all competing for playing time, and Cordell had a long touchdown in the scrimmage yesterday. That was encouraging. But Dalen and Warren, those guys are coming on, and Blake, Blake's had a good camp as well. So we feel good about the 4 deep at Z. And then the guys that have been really consistent, I think Jack Besh and John Paul and JoJo, and the one guy that I think really emerged over the last 2 days has been Major Everhart. He's starting to play with a lot of confidence, is starting to play fast, and encouraged by what I'm starting to see from him. So, those are kind of the guys that come to mind. Offensively, I think when you look at the offensive line, I think that group's starting to kind of settle in. We've moved a bunch of guys around and experimented, and you can start to see that they're getting comfortable where they are. I like the way, I think they're playing very physical. Thought we were, to be this far in camp, we're playing with really good pad level. The fundamental stuff is good. When you get a little tired, sometimes linemen have a tendency to stand up, and thought we had that issue a couple of times early in camp, but the last 2 days, I think we played with great pad level, and like I said, trying to play as physical and tough as we can. So, Ezra is a guy that has made a huge jump from the spring to where he is right now. I think he's really starting to push some of those other guys at the center position, and we feel like we have four guys that can snap, and snap pretty well. So that's encouraging, and that's something that you always have to make sure that you've got, snappers that you feel like can get you out of a game if you have some kind of issue. So feel good about where that group's going. It's good to see, Coker's, I thought, had a really good camp so far, and like what I'm starting to see from that group.
When you look at the receiver group and the talent you guys have, is this an offense where you guys can rotate them in as you guys have a possession, or maybe just a whole new group of receivers each possession?
Yeah, we hope to. I think that's the hope. There are moments when you say yes, and there are moments when you go, yeah, I'm not sure we're there yet. But from just a talent standpoint, yes. It's just going to have to be about development. And then the biggest thing is, can we trust guys? That's the bottom line is, can we trust you to not give up on a route? Can we trust you to compete hard for a football? Can we trust you to do what, know what you're supposed to do and do it correctly? And, we have big guys, we have fast guys, we've got quick guys, we got these guys that have kind of combinations of both. But at the end of the day, good receivers are in the right place at the right time. And really that's what being a good receiver is. You're in the right place at the right time and you make the play. Now, there's a lot of things that go into that. Obviously, if you're big, that helps. If you're fast, that helps. If you're quick, that helps. If you're strong, that helps. But at the end of the day, it's really about execution. And again, does that quarterback trust that player to be in that particular spot when he's supposed to be there? And if you can, then typically you're going to have a good group. And as I said earlier, we got talented guys. The trust factor on most of those guys is there, and we're still trying to get a couple of those guys to kind of get over that last hurdle.
Have you guys remained relatively healthy through 11 practices?
Yeah. We've been very fortunate up to this point to stay healthy, and for the most part, and we're like everybody in camp right now. We're a little nicked up here and there, but Thomas Armstrong's really the one right now that and Ish Burdine. We expect to get our Ish back a little bit later, but those have been the two that are going to miss some time.
What do you think the biggest thing you learned about the team yesterday was?
Well, one thing I like about this group is I think they're very competitive. I think they got a lot of pride. As I said, when one side of the ball has a good practice or even a good session, the other side of the ball has a tendency to rise up and challenge them. And I like to see that. I worry sometimes if one side is playing well and executing and having success, and the other side doesn't rise up and compete. That worries you. Fortunately, we haven't seen that up to this point at all during camp. And so I'm just encouraged by the competitive nature and spirit of our team. I like the guys. They like to play football. You know what I mean? There's a lot of excuses right now. It's, banged up, sore, hot, all the stuff, and nobody ever complains. And they go out and practice hard. They enjoy being out there. They like being around each other. You know, and I think that's important. I mean, some people don't care. I think that's a very important part of having a great team is guys that like each other and enjoy being around each other. And I just think it gives you a special, a chance to be better collectively than you are individually. And I think that's what our job as coaches is to make us that way, you know, to have a certain level of talent and exceed that talent with the product that we put on the field. And if we do that, then we're good coaches, and if we don't, then we're bad coaches. And so that's kind of our job to figure that out.
Coach, was Trey able to go in the scrimmage yesterday?
Trey didn't scrimmage much yesterday, but he was fully participated today. So he was out there and looked good today.
With this being the final week of camp, is this the week you want to kind of start seeing separation in some of those position battles, or are you comfortable with going a little bit?
Yeah, and I think you're starting to see it a little bit, you know, at moments. I don't know that you're seeing it, you know, consistently quite yet, but yeah, I mean, I think the good thing is, you know, the hope is that you come out and you go, well, there's not that big of a difference between these guys. They're both really, really good players, and you know, then they're both warrant finding a role. And you know, the good thing about this team is it's a deep team. I think it's a talented group. We've got a lot of speed, and so I think that lends itself to being a good team on special teams. You know, we return all three of our specialists. And, you know, when you have the length and you have the freshman class that we do and these guys that are young and athletic and rangy and can run, and as I said, that lends itself to special teams. So I think that are good special teams. So I think you're going to see some big battles going on for special teams, and it's going to be hard to get on the bus. You know, we're going to have to, week 6, we're going to have to, you know, take a road trip. We got to do it against Houston, but we're going to probably make the exception to travel our whole team to that game early on, because you got one game you can exceed the travel limit. So, you know, it's going to be tough to get on that bus week 6, and that's what you want.